The huge spaceship of the Galactic hegemony floated silently above the city of Seoul. It was bigger than any human aircraft carrier and cast a shadow over the downtown area. People in the streets below stopped and stared up, their mouths open, with shock. Cars stopped in the middle of roads. Everyone took pictures with their phones. In the United Nations building, Commander Tai gripped the edge of the table. His knuckles turned white. This was humanity's first contact with aliens, and as South Korea's military representative, he felt the weight of history on his shoulders. "They've been watching us for years," Ambassador Kim said quietly to the Secretary General. She kept her voice steady despite her racing heart. Their message was clear. They're here to judge if we deserve a place in their empire. The emergency meeting room was filled with world leaders who had flown in within hours of the alien ship's arrival. They watched the large screen showing a live feed of the ship. A door was slowly opening on its underside. "What do we do if they're hostile?" whispered President Lee. Nobody answered. Earth's weapons seemed like toys compared to a ship that could travel between stars. The aliens had chosen to land their smaller shuttlecraft in Olympic Park, where there was enough open space. A ring of soldiers surrounded the area, keeping back crowds of curious people. Ambassador Kim and Commander Tae joined the welcoming party with President Lee and representatives from other major nations. They stood in a neat line wearing their best formal clothes. "Remember," President Lee told them, "we represent all of humanity now." The shuttlecraft door opened with a hiss of steam. Everyone held their breath. First came strange machines that floated in the air, scanning the area. Then the aliens themselves appeared. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with scaly green skin that shimmered in the sunlight. Their bodies were thin but strong-looking, with long arms and legs. Most surprising were the small bat-like wings on their backs, too small for flight, but spread wide in what seemed like a display. Their leader walked down the ramp first. He wore the most elaborate outfit, red and gold armor with spikes and strange symbols. A flowing cape trailed behind him, and a helmet with 3 points sat on his narrow head. "That's Admiral Du," Commander Tae said, reading from the information they'd been sent ahead of time. Their military commander. The alien delegation formed a perfect line facing the humans. Everyone noticed how they moved in perfect sync, like they had practiced for months. Admiral Du stepped forward. He held up a small device, pressed a button, and began to speak in his native language. A series of clicks, hisses, and rumbling sounds. The device translated his words into a surprisingly high-pitched, squeaky voice that didn't match his fierce appearance at all. "Primitive humans," the voice squeaked. "We have come from the stars to determine if your species is worthy to serve." "The mighty galactic hegemony." The alien paused, clearly expecting fear or awe. The human delegation remained frozen, trying to process the situation. Admiral Du continued, "Our empire spans 10,000 star systems. Our technology is beyond your comprehension. Our military might is unmatched across the known universe." President Lee bit her lip. The serious words coming out in that squeaky voice were making it hard to keep a straight face. Admiral Du raised his arms dramatically. "Behold the glory of the hegemony!" He swept his cape aside in what was clearly meant to be an intimidating gesture. That's when everyone noticed that his chest armor was decorated with shapes that looked exactly like yellow rubber ducks. The design was probably something significant in alien culture, but to humanize, the fierce alien commander was covered in bath toys. President Lee made a small snorting sound as she tried to hold back her laughter. Ambassador Kim pressed her lips together tightly. Commander Tae coughed into his hand. Admiral Du, sensing something was wrong, struck an even more dramatic pose. This revealed that the back of his armor had more duck-like shapes in different colors. President Lee couldn't hold it anymore. She let out a loud laugh, quickly covering her mouth. Like a dam breaking, the entire human delegation erupted in laughter. Some tried to hide it, but others bent over, tears in their eyes. The aliens froze in confusion. Their rigid discipline didn't prepare them for this reaction. Admiral Do's scales turned from green to purple, apparently their version of blushing. He looked at his fellow aliens, who seemed equally confused. "I do not understand," he squeaked through the translator. "This is our most fearsome ceremonial attire. Warriors across the galaxy tremble at these sacred symbols of our might." This only made the humans laugh harder. The first contact between humanity and the galactic hegemony was not going as either side had expected. Commander Tay, trying to salvage the situation, stepped forward with his hand extended in greeting. "We welcome you to Earth," he managed to say between suppressed giggles. "Please forgive our reaction. In our culture, those symbols have different meanings." Admiral Doe tilted his head, looking utterly confused. The mighty galactic hegemony had conquered countless worlds, but they had never encountered a species that laughed at their arrival. This was going to be complicated. After the first meeting with the alien delegation, both sides agreed to share information about their technology. The aliens set up a special room in their ship, filled with what they said were their most advanced machines. They were excited to show humans how superior their technology was. Officer Sun, a tall female alien with bright blue scales, guided Dr. Park and Commander Tay through the demonstration room. The alien moved with stiff, formal steps, showing her military training. "We have prepared our finest technological achievements," Officer Sun said. She pointed to a large metal box with flashing lights and many buttons. "This is the pride of the hegemony." Dr. Park, Korea's leading computer scientist, looked carefully at the machine. She tried to keep her face serious and professional, but it was difficult. The alien device reminded her of old computers she had seen in museums. "And this," said Officer Sun proudly, "is the pinnacle of our computational technology." She pressed a button, and the machine hummed loudly. Lights blinked, in patterns across its surface. Dr. Park examined the alien device, trying to maintain a professional expression. She could see through the clear sections that the components looked very much like Earth's early computers. "This is very interesting," she managed to say. She recognized parts similar to Earth's computers from the 1980s. Large circuit boards, and simple processors that took up much more space than necessary. "It can perform 70 calculations per minute," Officer Sun continued, clearly expecting the humans to be amazed. She stood tall, her chest puffed out with pride. "Our scientists have worked for 300 years to reach this level of advancement." Commander Tay coughed into his hand, trying not to show his surprise at how primitive the alien technology was. Dr. Park thought quickly. She needed to be honest, but not rude. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her smartphone. The sleek device was smaller than her hand. "This can perform billions of calculations per second," she said gently, "and I primarily use it to look at pictures of cats." Officer Sun's mouth opened and closed several times. Her scales changed from blue to a confused purple color. She took the phone carefully, as if it might explode. "This tiny device, billions per second?" she asked in a squeaky voice. "That cannot be possible." Dr. Park unlocked the phone and opened a simple game. "Here, try this. It's processing physics calculations, graphics, touch input, and sound all at once." The alien delegation huddled together in urgent whispers. Admiral Doe, their leader, kept looking at the phone and back to their own large machine with growing concern. After several minutes of discussion, the aliens seemed to reach a decision. Colonel Han, another alien officer with red markings on his scales, stepped forward. "Perhaps you would like to see our medical facilities," offered Colonel Han. "We have achieved great advances in treating common ailments." The aliens led them to another room filled with strange devices that looked like a mix of medieval torture instruments and basic laboratory equipment. "Like what?" asked Admiral Doe suspiciously, still not convinced the humans weren't trying to trick them. Dr. Park decided to share some of Earth's medical achievements. "Well, cancer, heart disease, genetic disorders." "You can cure genetic disorders?" gasped Officer Sun. Her scales turned almost white with shock. "But that's impossible. We have tried for thousands of years." Admiral Doe stepped closer to Dr. Park. "You must be mistaken. Genetic codes are fixed at birth. They cannot be changed." "Actually, we've developed several techniques," Dr. Park explained. "We can use viruses to deliver corrected genes, edit DNA with tools like CRISPR, and even perform gene therapy for certain conditions." The aliens stared at each other in complete silence. Admiral Doe's translator device made strange clicking sounds as he spoke rapidly in his native language to the others. Colonel Han approached Commander Tay. "If what you say is true, human medicine is far beyond anything in the hegemony. How is this possible? Your species is so young, Commander Tay smiled. We had to adapt quickly. Our planet has many diseases and challenges. But you look so fragile, Officer Sun said, studying Dr. Park with new interest. Your skin is soft. You have no natural armor or weapons. Maybe that's why we had to become smart, Dr. Park suggested kindly. We couldn't rely on physical strength alone. Admiral Doe had been silent for several minutes. Finally he spoke. We must report this to the Hegemony Council immediately. This changes everything we thought we knew about primitive planets. As the aliens hurried away to contact their leaders, Dr. Park turned to Commander Tay. I think we just accidentally turned the galaxy's power structure upside down with a smartphone and basic medical knowledge. Commander Tay nodded. I wonder what they'll do when they see our video games. 3 days after the aliens arrived, they asked to see Earth's military capabilities. The United Nations Security Council debated for hours before agreeing to a limited demonstration at a South Korean military base. They wanted to show enough strength to earn respect, but not reveal all their secrets. General Bae, the highest-ranking female officer in the South Korean army, was chosen to lead the tour. She was known for her calm demeanor and sharp mind. At HFY, 52 years old, she had risen through the ranks during a time when few women reached such positions. The alien delegation arrived in their small shuttlecraft, landing directly on the military base's parade ground. 5 aliens stepped out, led by Commander G, their military intelligence officer. He was taller than Admiral Doe and had dark green scales with red stripes along his arms. Welcome to the Eastern Command, General Bae said with a polite bow. We've prepared a brief overview of Earth's defensive systems. The aliens followed her into a secure briefing room. The walls were lined with maps and screens showing military assets from around the world. General Bae pressed a button, and a global map appeared with countless small dots representing military bases and weapon systems. Each nation maintains its own defense forces, she explained, but we can coordinate when needed. Commander G studied the map. Your weapons seem primitive. I see no planetary shields or orbital defense platforms. We're still developing those technologies, General Bae admitted, but we have other methods of protection. She showed them slides of various weapon systems, tanks, fighter jets, submarines, and missile systems. The alien seemed unimpressed until she reached the section on nuclear weapons. These devices can devastate entire cities with a single explosion, she explained, showing footage from test detonations. Currently, Earth has approximately 12,000 nuclear warheads among 9 nations. Commander G's scales paled. You maintain multiple weapon systems capable of destroying your entire planet, he asked, clearly horrified. Several times over, actually, General Bae confirmed casually. She took a sip of water. It's called mutually assured destruction. Keeps everyone honest. The aliens exchanged worried glances. One of them, a smaller female with yellow markings, whispered something to Commander G. But you use these weapons against each other? Commander G asked. We've only used nuclear weapons twice in war, back in 1945, General Bae explained. Since then, the threat of their use has actually prevented major conflicts between nuclear powers. Your species willingly lives under the constant threat of annihilation? Asked the yellow-marked alien. General Bae shrugged. We've gotten used to it. After the briefing, she took them to observe a training exercise. Marines were practicing urban combat, moving through a mock village while carrying heavy equipment in the summer heat. These soldiers have remarkable endurance, observed Commander G. The temperature is quite high today. Marines train in all conditions, General Bae said. Desert, jungle, Arctic, underwater, they adapt to anything. They watched as the training officers introduced a new challenge, an experimental tear gas variant. The Marines put on gas masks and continued their exercise. And your soldiers willingly test experimental weapons on themselves? Commander G asked, his voice rising with disbelief. And we call them Marines, General Bae explained with a small smile. They'll eat anything on a dare, too. The alien delegation frantically took notes on their strange devices. They seemed increasingly disturbed by what they were seeing. After the demonstration, they moved to the weapons testing range. General Bae showed them various small arms and allowed them to examine the equipment. Commander G picked up a helmet, testing its weight. Your physical protection seems inadequate. According to our scans, your species is physically weaker than 90% of galactic races, he protested. True, agreed General Bay. She walked to a table and picked up an assault rifle. So we invented these. She hefted the weapon with practiced ease. Tends to level the playing field. She demonstrated the rifle on a target range, hitting targets with precision at various distances. A simple chemical propellant weapon, Commander G said, trying to sound unimpressed. This particular model, yes, General Bay replied. Would you like to see some of our more advanced systems? She led them to another area, where soldiers demonstrated laser-guided missiles, drone systems, and electronic warfare equipment. With each demonstration, the aliens grew quieter and more serious. At the end of the tour, Commander G pulled Admiral Doe aside for a private conversation. General Bay couldn't hear what they said, but their body language showed clear concern. Later, that evening, as she reported to President Lee, General Bay shared her observations. They came expecting to find helpless primitives, she said. Instead, they found a species that has spent its entire history finding more efficient ways to wage war. President Lee nodded. Do you think they see us as a threat now? General Bay thought for a moment. No, Madam President, I think they're afraid of us. And in galactic politics, that might be exactly what we need. 1 week after the military demonstration, the aliens invited a small group of humans to dine aboard their massive spaceship. This was a big step in relations between Earth and the galactic hegemony. The ship hung above Sol like a metal cloud, its lights blinking against the night sky. Captain Moon, a decorated Navy officer known for his diplomatic skills, led the human delegation. With him were Dr. Park, Commander Tay, and 4 cultural experts from different countries. They wore their best formal clothes for this important dinner. The humans rode up to the ship in a small alien shuttle. Through the windows, they watched Earth grow smaller below them. The blue planet looked peaceful from space. Remember, Captain Moon told his team, whatever they serve us, try to look happy about it. The shuttle docked with the main ship. When the doors opened, Admiral Doe was waiting with several high-ranking aliens. They all wore formal uniforms with colorful symbols that probably showed their rank and achievements. Welcome to the flagship of the galactic hegemony, Admiral Doe said through his translator. This vessel has traveled to over 300 star systems. The humans followed their hosts through long hallways with curved ceilings. Everything was clean, efficient, and oddly plain. There were no decorations, paintings, or anything that wasn't strictly functional. The dining hall was a large room with a long table in the center. The lighting was bright and cold. Several alien crew members stood at attention along the walls. Please, be seated, Admiral Doe said, gesturing to chairs on one side of the table. We have prepared a special meal to demonstrate the finest cuisine in the galaxy. Captain Moon and his team sat down. The table was set with strange metal utensils that looked more like scientific instruments than eating tools. Alien servers brought out trays covered with identical gray cubes. Each cube was exactly 5 centimeters on each side, perfectly symmetrical with smooth surfaces. They had no smell at all. Our finest delicacy, Admiral Doe announced proudly, scientifically formulated for optimal nutritional intake. This meal contains all essential nutrients a humanoid body requires, with no excess or waste. Captain Moon looked at the gray cube placed before him. He carefully picked up one of the strange utensils, trying to figure out how to use it. You simply consume it whole, Officer Sun explained, demonstrating by picking up her cube and putting it in her mouth. Captain Moon took a deep breath and bit into the cube. It had the texture of firm tofu, but almost no taste at all, maybe a hint of something like cardboard. He forced a smile and chewed slowly. Very efficient, Captain Moon managed, after swallowing with difficulty. He noticed his teammates struggling similarly with their food. Admiral Doe seemed pleased with this response. Our nutritionists have worked for centuries to remove all unnecessary sensations from food. This allows us to focus on more important matters than eating. Captain Moon saw an opportunity. On Earth, food is an important part of our culture. We brought some Earth foods for you to try if you'd like to compare. Admiral Doe looked unsure but nodded. We are interested in cultural Exchange. The human delegation had prepared for this moment. They opened special containers they had brought aboard. Inside were carefully selected foods from Earth: kimchi, barbecued beef, chocolate, and a thermos of coffee. There were also containers of spicy ramyun noodles that just needed hot water. The alien crew looked suspicious of the colorful, strong-smelling foods. Admiral Du bravely took the first sample, a small piece of chocolate. His eyes widened when he put it in his mouth. "This is unusual," he said, scales changing color slightly. "It causes strange sensations in my mouth." Encouraged by their leader, the other aliens tried different foods. Officer Sun picked up a piece of kimchi with her long fingers. When she ate it, her entire body went rigid. Her eyes opened wider than seemed possible for her species. "Great universe," she gasped, grabbing for water. "What is this sensation? My mouth is... it's like an explosion." "We call it flavor," Captain Moon explained with a smile. "This particular sensation is called spicy. It's very popular on Earth." Instead of being upset, Officer Sun immediately took another bite. "It's painful, but I want more," she said, sounding confused at her own reaction. The barbecued beef was an even bigger hit. Commander G, the military officer, took one bite and immediately ate his entire portion. "This causes pleasure while eating," he said with wonder. "Is this why humans spend so much time preparing food?" When they prepared the ramyun, the steam carried the spicy smell throughout the room. Alien crew members who weren't part of the dinner began finding excuses to enter the dining hall, curious about the strange aromas. By the end of the meal, the aliens had abandoned their nutrition cubes and were eagerly trying every Earth food. When Captain Moon brewed the coffee, its rich smell caused even more excitement. "This liquid has a remarkable effect," Admiral Du said after his first sip. "I feel more alert." "It contains caffeine," Dr. Park explained. "Many humans drink it daily." As the dinner ended, Captain Moon considered it a great success. The aliens seemed truly fascinated by Earth food, asking many questions about ingredients and preparation methods. The next day, Captain Moon received an urgent message from Admiral Du. The alien's voice sounded stressed even through the translator. "We have a situation aboard our ship," Admiral Du said. "The commissary is overwhelmed with requests for Earth food. Several crew members have refused their nutrition cubes. Could you send more of the spicy ramyun and coffee as soon as possible?" Captain Moon smiled. Sometimes the best diplomacy happened not in formal meetings, but at the dinner table. 3 weeks passed since the massive alien ship first appeared over Seoul. During that time, Earth and the galactic hegemony had shared technology, culture, and ideas. The results had surprised everyone, especially the aliens. The United Nations had called a special meeting to hear the official position of the hegemony. The General Assembly Hall was packed with representatives from every nation. News cameras broadcast the event worldwide. Admiral Du entered with his delegation. He no longer wore the rubber duck armor from the first meeting. Instead, he was dressed in a simpler uniform, though he still carried his translator device. The humans noticed he had added a small Earth pin to his collar, a gesture of respect. President Lee, Ambassador Kim, General Bay, Dr. Park, Commander Tae and Captain Moon sat at the main table representing Earth. They had worked closely with the aliens over the past weeks and had developed a cautious friendship with them. Admiral Du stepped to the podium. His translator squeaked less than before. Earth engineers had helped improve it. "People of Earth," he began, "I come before you today with the official position of the galactic hegemony regarding your world." The room fell silent. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. Would Earth be welcomed into the galactic community, or would they be seen as too primitive or too dangerous? "When we first detected your radio signals, we followed standard protocol," Admiral Du continued. "We previously classified humans as a Category 7 primitive species." Several diplomats frowned at this description. This classification indicated a pre-space civilization with limited technology and scientific understanding, Admiral Du explained. "We expected to find beings who would be awed by our superiority and grateful for our guidance." He paused, his scales changing color slightly in what humans now recognized as embarrassment. "We have updated this classification to, well, We created a new category just for you." Ambassador Kim leaned forward. "And what would that be?" she asked. "Disturbingly innovative with questionable survival instincts," translated Admiral Dunn's laughter rippled through the assembly hall. Admiral Doe waited for it to quiet down before continuing. "I am serious," he said. "Your species takes risks that no rational civilization would consider. You develop technology without understanding its implications. You wage war against yourselves constantly, creating increasingly efficient weapons." The laughter died away as people realized he wasn't joking. "And yet somehow, you've advanced more rapidly than any species we've encountered," Admiral Doe added. "In 300 years you went from simple combustion engines to quantum computing. It took other species thousands of years to make similar progress." President Lee whispered to General Bay, "Is that a compliment?" "I think so," General Bay replied softly. Admiral Doe spread his arms wide, a gesture he had learned from humans. "The hegemony has existed in peaceful stability for 50,000 years. Our technology, social structures, and way of life have remained largely unchanged for millennia." He picked up a smartphone from the table. He now carried one himself. "But in the past month, human ideas have begun spreading through our systems like a virus. Our young people are demanding flavor in their food. Engineers are questioning our established technologies. Several of our scientists have already requested permission to study your internet." Admiral Doe looked troubled by these developments. His scales shifted to a deeper color. "And this is bad?" Ambassador Kim asked carefully. Admiral Doe was quiet for a moment. Then he did something no human expected. He sighed, a surprisingly human gesture. "It is terrifying," he admitted. "And exhilarating," his voice softened. "For thousands of years we have known safety and stability, but we have forgotten how to grow, how to change, how to dream of better things." The assembly hall was completely silent now. Everyone was listening intently. "The Hegemony Council has debated extensively," Admiral Doe continued. "Some wanted to quarantine your planet, fearful of your chaotic influence. Others suggested immediate full integration, excited by your energy." He straightened his shoulders. "We have chosen a middle path. The Hegemony offers Earth a unique arrangement, limited integration with special status. You will share your innovations, and we will share our galactic knowledge." Relief spread through the hall, followed by excited murmurs. Earth would join the galactic community while maintaining its independence, as the diplomats worked out details. In the following hours, Admiral Doe approached Dr. Park privately during a break. They stepped out onto a balcony overlooking New York City. "You knew this would happen from the beginning, didn't you?" Admiral Doe asked. "That's why you laughed." Dr. Park smiled, remembering their first meeting and the rubber duck armor. "We've been imagining meeting aliens for centuries in our stories," she explained. "We always assumed you'd be either gods or monsters, beings with unimaginable power, or terrifying intentions." She looked at the alien who had become something like a friend. "Finding out you're just people, with the same bureaucracy, bad fashion, and bland food as us, was the biggest plot twist possible." Admiral Doe considered her words. Then, for the first time since arriving on Earth, he laughed. It was a strange, hissing sound, but unmistakably laughter. "Perhaps that is why the universe is so vast," he said, "not just to separate us by distance, but to allow each world to find its own path." Together, they watched the sun setting over Earth, a planet that had just become a very important dot in a much larger galaxy.